white lane lines separate lanes of traffic moving in the same direction. Which of these statements is correct? A. With simple broken white line, you can change lanes when it is safe to do so. Octagon-shaped signs are always A. Stop signs. To make sure you are braking smoothly. Check all mirrors for traffic behind your vehicle. Release the accelerator to slow the vehicle. Press the brake pedal to activate the brake lights and use firm pressure. If worried, nervous, angry, or crying, a driver should take some time to focus on driving before starting the engine. What is the first thing that is affected after consuming an alcohol beverage? The judgment of a person. A single broken yellow line in the center of a two-lane road indicates that the lanes move in opposite directions and drivers are allowed to pass when it is safe to do so. You are more likely to die in a crash if you do not wear a seatbelt. In a crash, the seatbelt prevents being ejected from the vehicle, prevents being thrown against other passengers, the steering wheel, or windshield, and keeps you behind the wheel where you can control the vehicle. So, all of these apply. Road rage is violent behavior or visibly aggressive behavior by a driver which can cause crashes or other accidents on the roads. Signs include honking, making obscene hand gestures, preventing other vehicles from entering your lane, accelerating or braking suddenly, following another vehicle too closely, and cutting off other drivers. When preparing to drive, the seatbelt must be correctly placed in such a way that passes through the lap, through the chest, tight above the hip. If you have an oncoming vehicle on the left side and a bicyclist on the right, you should let the vehicle pass, then overtake the bicycle. The most common color of warning signs is yellow. If you're driving in another driver's blind spot, you should move forward or stay behind so the other driver can see you. Every time you prepare to drive before starting your vehicle's engine, make sure the vehicle is in park or neutral. Adjust all rear view mirrors so you can use them without having to lean forward or backward. And put on your seatbelt and make sure all passengers do the same. Drivers must yield to pedestrians, even when pedestrians cross the streets carelessly. Your brake lights will tell other drivers that you are slowing down or stopping. A school zone ends sign indicates the end of a reduced speed zone. If you come to an intersection with a flashing red light, you should stop at the intersection and continue when traffic allows. If you come to an intersection with a flashing yellow light, you should slow down and cross the intersection with caution. The correct way to drive is with both hands holding the steering wheel, just like the picture. The maximum height allowed between the pavement and the bottom of the car and rear bumper of a 3,000 to 5,000 pound pickup truck is 28 inches on the front. When driving on a main road, you see RXR, like this sign over here, painted on the pavement, accompanied by this sign. What does the brand mean? What does this RR and the X like that mean? Railway tracks coming soon. How you can avoid being involved in an accident to be on the road if another driver threatens you or intentionally drives dangerously around you. Stay calm and try to get as far away as possible. Slow down and let that person pass. Do not make eye contact or do not respond if any gestures happened. A load that extends more than 8 feet beyond the sides of a vehicle and beyond the rear must be clearly marked. During the day, red flags must be used. It's important to know if your vehicle has anti-lock braking system, ABS, because it will affect how you stop in an emergency situation. Which of the following statements is true? Drivers with ABS need to fully depress the brake pedal, hold it down, and move away from danger. Being distracted while driving is extremely risky behavior. Which category is most dangerous? Sending text messages. There are also other types of distractions, such as looking at an object, a person, or an event outside the vehicle, eating or drinking, and interacting with passengers. Adjusting the radio controls or air conditioning, and cleaning up or lighting a cigarette. Any driver who is stopped by a police officer and found to have an alcohol level of 0.08 or more at the time of arrest, your driving privilege will be suspended. Which of these conditions does your blood alcohol content, BAC, depend on? How much alcohol do you drink? How much time passes between drinks? The law requires all drivers, all front seat passengers, and all passengers under 18 years of age to wear seat belts. Which statement is correct? That would be Passengers over 18 years of age will be fined for violating the law if they do not wear a seatbelt when required by the law. And drivers will be fined for violating the seatbelt law if a passenger under the age of 18 is not restrained with a seatbelt. Driving while drowsy can be as dangerous as driving while drunk. Why? Because it can reduce your mental processes and reaction time and affects the judgment and vision. When a motor vehicle is on the road, it is illegal to possess open containers of alcohol in the passenger compartment. Never leave a child alone or unsupervised in a motor vehicle for no period of time. So, never. Simple continuous white line allows to drive in the same direction. There's going to be cars on both sides of the line, but do not cross the line unless you must do so to avoid danger. Continuous double yellow lines allows vehicles moving in any direction not to pass or cross these lines unless turning left when it is safe to do so. White stop lines indicate you must stop your vehicle before any part of it crosses the line before the crosswalk, and you must stop at a stop sign or a red light. It is illegal to drive with excess speed. You must obey the speed limit, and you are responsible for knowing the speed limit when driving. What is the safest speed? A speed that allows you to have complete control of your vehicle and avoid collisions. Unless otherwise indicated, the speed in school areas is 20 miles per hour. Driving too slowly is also against the law. You should not drive too slow because it can block or delay traffic moving at normal speed. Safe speed. Unless otherwise indicated, the speed in residential areas is 30 miles per hour. Turn signals are also required by law when changing lanes, passing a vehicle, or turning. You must keep in mind to turn on your turn signal at least 100 feet, 30 meters before turning. Turning a corner may seem like a simple operation, but when many crashes occur because drivers do not turn correctly, when making a turn, you should always keep in mind reduce your turning speed to a safe speed, getting into the correct lane in time, and obey no turn on red or stop here signs. Yield to vehicles and bicycles moving in the opposite direction. Never make last-minute turns. If you come to an intersection where you want to turn and you're not in the correct lane, drive to the next intersection and then turn from the correct lane. Let me repeat that one more time. Drive to the next intersection and then turn from the correct lane. The driver's left arm and hand are extended upward. This hand signal means that the driver plans to turn right. Sometimes you will have to turn in a very small space. Use a 3-point turn only if the road is too narrow to make a U-turn and you cannot turn around the block. To make a 3-point turn, signal your left turn signal. Then carefully check your oncoming traffic. So you're going to signal first, and then carefully you're going to check for any traffic that might be coming just to be safe. A roundabout is a circular intersection without traffic signs. You should know. If there are no vehicles on the roundabout, you can either enter without giving way, and drivers entering the roundabout must yield to vehicles already traveling through the roundabout. 2 things to keep in mind. Maintain a minimum following distance of 4 seconds in favorable weather and traffic conditions. You must increase the following distance though. When it rains or the roads are wet, low visibility, dusk, dawn, night, or fog, you should maintain the minimum following distance. How are blind spots around a large commercial vehicle different from blind spots in a car? The larger the vehicle, the larger the blind spots. Trucks and large sport utility vehicles have blind spots near the rear of the vehicle that they can see in the rear view mirror. When you're about to pass another car on the left, you should not return to the right side until you can see the tires of the vehicle you passed in your rear view mirror. Identify this signal. Merger traffic. So you are approaching a point where another lane of traffic merges with yours. When you want to pass another vehicle on the left, you must activate your turn signal before moving into the left lane. Check your blind spots and make sure you have enough time to pass safely. Where is it not allowed to pass another car? Within 100 feet of a bridge, viaduct, tunnel, crossing, railway, or intersection, on hills or curves where you cannot see at least 500 feet ahead. Other situations where passing is not allowed is when there is a school bus stopped and has flashing lights on and the stop sign displayed. And when pedestrian crossings, when there's a vehicle that has stopped to allow the pedestrian to cross. When you are about to pass another vehicle, never pass the vehicle off the paved surface and must not exceed the speed limits in that area. So let me explain. When you're about to pass another vehicle, make sure that you never drive off the pavement surface and never exceed the speed limit in that area just to pass that vehicle. You are driving on a highway. You must remember that the greatest dangers on highways are rear-end car crashes from driving way too closely. If you are driving on a highway, when trying to exit and you accidentally miss the exit ramp, what should you do? You simply remain calm and continue to the next exit. If you're going to drive on a highway, you must plan your trip, You must know exactly where you will enter and where you will exit. If you are ready to exit the highway, you should begin to slow down. As soon as you exit the highway and are on an exit ramp. When merging into highway traffic, you should drive at or nearly the same speed as traffic on the highway. If you are driving on a highway and you see this sign above your lane, it means that you must exit the expressway if you stay in this lane. What are the colors of the signs that tell you the distance to the next highway exit? Green with white letters. You drive an automatic transmission vehicle. When you park on an uphill or downhill, you must apply the emergency brakes before placing the transmission in park and then turning off your vehicle. If you park your vehicle on a hill or downhill slope with a curb, you must do so as follows. Place the front tires towards the curb, emergency brake, put the transmission in park, and then turn off the vehicle. What is the maximum distance you can park from the curb or sidewalk? 1 feet, 12 inches. When parking next to a curb, you should use your turn signals. When heading towards or away from the curb. When you're going to park a manual or synchronous transmission car on an uphill slope, you must first place the parking brake, the gearbox in first gear. When parking a vehicle uphill on the right side of a street where there is no curb or sidewalk, you must place the front wheels pointing to the right. When you're going to park a manual or synchronous transmission car on a downhill slope, you must first place the parking brake on the gearbox in reverse. When you're about to park in front of a parking lot, you must ensure that your car should be centered within the space with no part of it extending into the travel lane. Any driver, bicyclist, or pedestrian approaching a highway or railroad crossing must stop within 50 feet of the nearest railroad rail when the warning devices are flashing. When backing out of a parking lot, always check behind your vehicle before getting in. Children or small objects cannot be seen from the driver's seat. Place your right arm behind the passenger seat and turn so you can see directly out the rear window and back up slowly. Of the traffic signs that appear, which of them indicates that drivers may lose control if you leave the pavement? B would be the correct answer, as you can see. The law prohibits passing a vehicle stopped at a crosswalk to allow the pedestrian to cross the street. If you approach from behind, you should assume that a pedestrian is crossing even though you cannot see him or her. Always stop before turning right on a red light and look both ways to see if there are pedestrians in the crosswalk. When you arrive at an intersection and see a pedestrian with a white cane with the intention of crossing, you must stop completely and give way. Take special care when approaching because the pedestrian is probably blind. Florida law requires that you give bicyclists a minimum of 3 feet space and use caution, slow down when riding alongside or passing them. If you're driving on a narrow 2-lane road with no curb and a cyclist passes in the middle of your lane, you should treat the cyclist as if he were a slow vehicle. Do not share the lane with the bicyclist or cyclist. If you want to pass a motorcycle, always keep in mind that you should never attempt to share a lane with a motorcycle. The motorcyclist has the right to occupy the entire lane. It is illegal for any driver to pass a school bus when it displays a stop signal. You should know, on a 2-way road, all drivers going in either direction must stop behind a stopped school bus that is picking up or dropping off children. You must remain stopped until the stop sign is removed and all children are off the street. If you're driving on a highway or street and hear emergency vehicle sirens, you should stop immediately at the nearest edge of the road and stop until the emergency vehicle has passed. Do not block intersections. You're driving on a 2-lane highway behind a large vehicle that you are trying to pass. To make sure you can see clearly, you should stay a safe distance behind the vehicle that you want to pass. You are driving behind a large truck or bus and approaching an intersection. The vehicle flashes signals to turn right. You should know that the large vehicle opens to the left to be able to turn right. At what times should you use the front low beams? Between dusk and dawn. What does this traffic sign tell you? Warning. Under what circumstances should you change your vehicle's high beams to low beams when in use? Within 500 feet of an approaching vehicle or within 300 feet of a following vehicle. You're driving at night on a highway with 2 opposite lanes and a car approaches you with its headlights on high, preventing you from seeing. You should look to the right edge of the road to avoid being blinded by the car's headlights. You are driving and suddenly it starts to rain. What is the first thing that you should do? turn on the windshield wipers and turn on the front low beams. Why are the roads more slippery during heavy rain when it hasn't rained in a while? Due to the accumulation of oil on the roads, it makes them more slippery. Hydroplaning occurs when your car slides on a thin layer of water between the tires and the road, causing you to lose control. If your brakes get wet after a heavy rain, the vehicle may drift to one side or the other. If this happens, reduce speed and gently press the brake pedal until the brakes work again. If you reach a flooded road, turn and find another path. Do not try to drive through the water. This could be very, very dangerous. If you're driving on a road and an animal is standing on the far right, you should slow down and stop to give way to the animal. To reduce your chances of colliding with an animal, you should be extremely alert when driving on roads marked with animal crossing signs and drive carefully at dawn and dusk. This is the time when the animals are most active. Reduce speed when approaching animals that are standing near the road, because they can run away or change direction. If you're driving and are stopped by a law enforcement officer, you must pull off the road safely and park immediately on the right, away from traffic. Stay in the driver's seat. Do not get out of the vehicle. And be prepared to show your driver's license, vehicle registration certificate, and proof of insurance. At an intersection, there's a law enforcement officer directing traffic. Even if the control signs are operating correctly, you must follow the agent's instructions, not the signal. As a safe driver, you should know that crashes happened in intersections more than any other place. To avoid rear-ending the vehicle in front of you, be sure to maintain a safe distance of at least 4 seconds and increase following distance in adverse weather conditions or heavy traffic. If a vehicle approaching your lane, honk and flash your high beams, slam on the brakes and steer the vehicle to the side of the road. If your vehicle breaks down and is out of service, you must move the vehicle so that all 4 wheels are out of the travel lanes and turn on your hazard lights. You're driving down a road and suddenly your right wheels come off the pavement. What should you do? Take your foot off the accelerator, hold down the steering wheel firmly, and steer straight. You are driving in heavy rain and your vehicle begins to hydroplane. Take your foot off the accelerator and do not use the brakes. Drive straight. This sign means school crossing ahead. If you blow out a tire while driving on a busy road, you should take your foot off the accelerator. Do not use the brakes and Concentrate on the driving. Slow down gradually, brake gently when you reach the control of the vehicle, and leave the asphalt completely. You're driving on a highway and suddenly you feel that the accelerator pedal is stuck. What should you do? Take your foot off the accelerator and engage the clutch in manual transmission, or shift into neutral if it is automatic. Do not turn off the engine. If you turn off the engine, you will lose the ability to steer the vehicle. How should you proceed if your vehicle stops on train tracks and starts flashing warning lights? Remove all passengers from the vehicle immediately and move away from the vehicle. When approaching an intersection with traffic signals that are not in operation due to a power outage, you should proceed as in a four-way stop sign. So vehicles will move through the intersection in the order in which they arrived. First come, first go. If several vehicles arrive at the same time, the driver on the left gives way to the driver on the right. You are driving on a residential road and approaching an intersection controlled by a four-way stop. You should know vehicles proceed through the intersection in order in which they arrived at it. The first vehicle to reach the intersection must proceed first. If vehicles arrive at approximately the same time, each driver must yield to the driver on the right. If you are involved in a collision with an unattended vehicle, your duty is that if you cannot locate the owner, you must leave a note with your name, contact information, and license plate number. If a law enforcement officer stops you and finds you have an alcohol level of 0.08 or higher, your license will automatically be suspended. If you refuse to take a breath test to measure your blood alcohol level, your license will be automatically suspended for 1 entire year. How long will a driving under the influence DUI penalty stay on your driving record? 75 years. What does this sign mean? Zigzag road. Roundabout circle. Announce a roundabout in advance. Be prepared to slow down and stop if necessary. To which of the signs does this belong? B would be the correct answer. A roundabout is a circular intersection without traffic signs. You should know that drivers entering the roundabout must yield to vehicles already traveling through the roundabout. The orange signals are construction and maintenance warning. What is the name of this signal? Speed limit. Your speed must not exceed that indicated in this area. It is illegal to drive with excess speed. You must obey the speed limit and you are responsible for knowing the speed limit when driving. What is the safest speed? A speed that allows you to have complete control of your vehicle and avoid collisions. Of the traffic signs that appear below, which of them indicates a slow-moving car? That is correct. C. Of the traffic signs that appear, which of them indicates that it is a no passing zone? B would be your answer, and I really hope that you got this one right. This sign means two-way traffic. This sign means do not turn left. So you cannot turn left. What is the meaning of this sign? Yield. This sign means do not enter a road or ramp where this sign is displayed. Of the traffic signs that appear below, which of them indicates that a U-turn is not prohibited? That would be A. Check the meaning of this signal. It means sharp turn to the right. If you're driving on a main road with the intention of turning right and the light is green, you should turn your turn signal to the right and stay in the rightmost lane. Slow down and observe if there are any signs prohibiting you from the spin. Pay special attention to the pedestrians and cyclists. If you have an accident for which you are at fault and you do not have insurance on your car, the law will require you to pay for any damage caused before the item is returned to you, privileged to drive again. If a driver illegally contains a permit to park in a handicap parking lot, your parked car could be picked up by a tow truck and your permit confiscated. You will be fined $500 or up to 6 months in prison. Traffic signs painted red indicate stop, do not enter, wrong way, and yield. When another driver indicates with his turn signals that he wants to change into your lane, slow down your vehicle to give space to the other driver who wants to merge. If you're driving on a multi-lane road and need to go slower than normal traffic, you must use the right lane. Parallel parking is when the vehicle is aligned with another parked vehicle. A blue curb means parking for disabled people with a sign or special plates. When roads are slippery, you should avoid making fast turns, doubling the distance, and avoiding sudden stops. Three of the situations in which it is extremely important to check the traffic behind you is before backing up, changing lanes, or suddenly slowing down. It is against the law to enter a cross street or intersection when you cannot completely cross the intersection before the traffic light turns red. You should increase the following distance between your vehicle and the vehicle in front of you when you are being followed closely by another vehicle.